Hello everybody, welcome back to another watercolor painting tutorial. We are getting into the Valentine's Day spirit today. So the first thing you want to do is sketch out a heart on your piece of paper, and you do want to make it considerably smaller than your piece of paper. Yes, specifically you want to leave a gap on the top and the bottom of your heart, because some details of our painting are going to stick out beyond the heart, and we want to have room for that. So what I like to do is kind of sketch out what I want my heart to look like, and then I erase the heart so that it's just light enough or dark enough for me to see, but it's light enough that it's not going to show through the watercolor when I paint it. So that should be okay the way that it is there. So the first thing that we're going to do after we've sketched out our heart here is sorry, I'm just trying to get organized. I'm picking up red watercolor here, and perhaps a little bit of pink. It doesn't really matter too much. And I'm just applying it very lightly to the entire background of my heart. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, then you'll shortly begin to see that this painting in general is very similar, other than obviously this the colors and the shape, but it's very similar to a painting that I painted a little while back, and you'll see why in a moment. But I thought that it would be really neat if I did a Valentine's Day version of it. So you want it to be quite light, especially at the top. So I am rinsing my brush in water and dabbing it on a piece of paper, like on a piece of paper towel, and then just repeating that until I'm happy with the lightness. And I'm gonna mix just a tad bit of black in at the bottom here. You can also choose to use a maroon instead of a black, but we just want to darken the bottom because this is going to be the base of our forest floor, if you will. Now, I do want it to blend a little bit more seamlessly because right now it just looks kind of bad. So I'm blending it out. Like so. And what we're gonna do is now extend some trees using this color down here upwards. So you don't have to be really precise with these. They're going to be barely visible anyway, but we just do want some sort of shadow coming across to represent a tree, because this is going to be our first layer of trees that are going to come up. So that you have an idea of what you're painting here, you're painting a forest of red trees or maroon colored trees, and it's very similar to the painting like I mentioned earlier with the deer. It was like a very wintry landscape with a deer. It's the same sort of thing, but it was an oval instead of a heart. So I thought that this would be fun to paint, like a Valentine's Day version of that painting. So I have got some of my trees down here. I think I'm okay with, in general, how the shape of my heart looks. So I just need this to dry a tiny bit before we keep painting on our subsequent layers. So I've just, previously I was using my size 14 by Grumbacher, but I've switched to my size 8 so that the trees don't bleed out as much. You can use an even smaller brush if that's easier for you. So what I'm doing is taking a bit of black mixed with red and perhaps a little bit of pink. The exact color names really don't matter. You guys seem really fixated on those color names based on the comments I've been receiving, but it really doesn't matter. A pink is a pink, and you can adjust that pink if you don't like it by adding black to make it darker and so on and so forth, but don't get hung up on the exact color that I am using, because your version might end up looking so much better than mine because you used the color that was most intuitive to you. So anyways, I've basically mixed black with pink and red to achieve this weird maroonish blackish pink color. And I'm just gonna add a few more trees, vertical trees, stretching from the top to the bottom. And my background is still a little wet, as you can see, which is okay. So once you've got a few down and you're happy with how many you have down, okay, so now we're gonna let that completely dry before we continue on with more layers. Okay, so you can take more of that color. It's gonna appear more intense since your painting is dry now. And actually, before we do that, to make it easier for yourself, you can sketch out where you're gonna have your trees extending below and beyond the heart. So I'm gonna have a tree that's gonna come down around here, and the roots are sort of gonna spread out like this. And it's gonna extend upwards like this. And then I'm gonna have another tree like this, and this one is going to extend like that. Maybe have another branch coming out early on like this. Okay. And now you can paint those on. So because it should be completely dry, you'll see that your color is much more prominent, much more intense. I am going to pick up another one of my brushes here, and I'm going to use that for the root system because it's much thinner. This is a size 1. All of my brushes are in the description, by the way, like the links for them if you want to buy them for yourself. I remember in the other painting when I first painted the roots, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so that's good. I'm switching back to my size 8 so I can paint the trunk portion of this one on the right side. Again, switching to the size 1 to make some of the details a little easier for myself. Okay, so we've got the general idea down here, like we've got our 2 extending trees down, but you can see that our 2 previous layers have dried so much that you can barely really see the layers. So what I'm going to try and do is water this down a little bit and paint on some lighter layers. And none of these layers are going to extend beyond the heart. Like, I think I'm just gonna have those 2 that I painted. I might change my mind though. So that's a bit better. Although now it's looking a little bit too stripy for me. Oh man. Okay, what I'm gonna do is take a bit of black and a bit of red and mix that together to make a much more intense, like blackish red maroon color. And I'm gonna go over at least one of the trees that I just painted. I'm gonna create some new ones as well. So I'll have this one extending beyond the heart. I'm gonna freehand it. Like so. And perhaps a little guy on this side. Something like that. You don't want to overdo it. Like I think I overdid it with this one here, but I can't do anything about that now. But you can certainly learn from my mistakes. I am going to try and straighten it a bit, or not straighten it, but make it thicker so it looks a little bit more realistic than it did. Okay, so we've got our tree forest heart thing here. And now you have a couple of options. You can write a Valentine's Day greeting above or below, on the side, wherever you have room. What I'm gonna do, because I mean, I painted a deer in my previous wintry version of this, but I don't think that's going to match the theme here. So I think what I'm going to do is take a lot of black mixed with a little bit of red and paint little hearts hanging down. So I'm going to switch to my quadruple zero brush. And I'm going to have them coming down like this. And have little hearts hanging down like this. You don't even have to have them hanging down. They can just be floating. Because I'm not sure I wish I didn't start adding these hearts, man. You can see whether you like the heart look, and then you don't have to add them to yours if you don't want to. It is what it is. I already added them, so. And see, this wasn't completely dry, so it just started bleeding. Anyway, if you like the hearts, you can keep going with the hearts. I think what I'm gonna do is try to Photoshop them out and just leave it at that. But you tell me what you like. Do you like them with the little hearts added or without? I think I'm just gonna stop it there before I do anything else to this painting. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Click like on this video because it really helps me out, and I will see you in the next tutorial.